Caitlin Clark got a little get back at Kelsey Plum.
She was taking a shot, could not help but to drag Caitlin Clark through the glass as she did it.
0 members of Team Clark were very present for that.
The WNBA is on a hot streak. They're finally turning.
The entire WNBA has been shaken by what just happened. And Caitlin Clark didn't just beat Kelsey Plum. She outplayed her in a way that felt cold, precise, and completely calculated. This wasn't just a response. It was a statement. Honestly, it's hard to even process. This felt less like a game and more like a masterclass in how to silence critics without saying a word. Plum didn't just lose. She was completely outmatched. If you're riding with Caitlin all the way, hit that like button, because once you see how this all unfolded, the narrative might look very different.
Sore losers and you have sore winners, and Kelsey Plum is both.
We want to blow them out. We're a lot better than...
Watching for the league, we're really watching for Caitlin Clark. Everyone's going to be making more because of Caitlin Clark.
Caitlin Clark is the one bringing in the numbers.
Well, there's one.
Let's rewind, because this didn't start on the court. This wasn't some random clash. It was building, quiet tension, subtle shots, and what looked like an attempt to dim the shine of the biggest star the league has seen in years. It all traces back to the WNBA All-Star Game, an event that should have celebrated unity and growth in women's basketball. Instead, it turned into something else entirely. At the time, players were rallying behind the "Pay Us What You Owe Us" movement. And to be clear, that cause is valid. These athletes deserve to be paid. But during a press conference, with cameras rolling and the entire basketball world watching, Plum took a subtle shot, without even saying Clark's name. And that's where everything shifted.
But 0 members of Team Clark were very present for that.
Or her actually making comments about Caitlin Clark's team not being at this meeting for the...
Plum suggested that not everyone on Team Clark was fully aligned with the movement. A carefully worded statement, but one that clearly pointed in a specific direction. It was a calculated move. She took aim at the one player who has brought unmatched attention, revenue, and visibility to the league, and tried to frame her as disconnected from her peers. Even casual fans could see what was happening. It wasn't subtle. It wasn't accidental. And the reality makes it even more frustrating. Clark wasn't even there. She missed the All-Star event while recovering and managing her own situation. She had no obligation to be present to prove support. Yet somehow, the narrative tried to paint her in a negative light anyway.
Shot at Caitlin Clark during that whole thing about Team Clark wasn't very present.
Yeah, I thought that was a little dig at Caitlin. A lot of people definitely thought so.
She was taking a shot at Caitlin Clark's situation involving the "Pay Us What You..."
The truth is, Caitlin Clark has already transformed the landscape of women's basketball. She's brought in millions of new fans, elevated visibility, and helped push the league to new financial heights. Still, Plum chose to question her commitment, and that's where things backfired. The reaction was immediate and intense. Sabrina Ionescu's expression during that moment said everything. Even commentators like Stacey King pointed out how risky it is to take shots at the league's biggest draw, because the numbers don't lie. TV ratings are up. Merchandise is flying off shelves. Ticket prices are climbing fast. Expansion fees have skyrocketed. Clark isn't just a player. She's a driving force behind the league's growth. And by going after her publicly, Plum wasn't just making a comment. She was challenging the most valuable asset the league has right now. But at this point, Caitlin Clark has proven she doesn't need words to respond.
To say that Caitlin Clark didn't join in on the T-shirt discussion.
This week they wore T-shirts saying, making a statement, you better pay us. But instead of just leaving it at that, Kelsey Plum for L.A. had to take a dig at Caitlin Clark. Here she is.
The T-shirt, just United Front was determined this morning that we had a meeting for. And, not to tattletale, but 0 members of Team Clark were very present.
Caitlin Clark isn't just playing the game. She's thinking several moves ahead. While others are reacting in the moment, she's operating like a strategist. When everyone else is playing checkers, she's playing chess. Instead of firing back with interviews or getting dragged into social media drama, she chose silence. And that silence became her biggest weapon. She stayed out of the noise, kept making headlines, without even stepping on the court, and waited for the perfect moment. And when that moment came, It hit like a wrecking ball. Right after the controversy, Clark announced a massive global deal with Nike, a move that made one thing clear. The biggest brands in the world are lining up for her. While Kelsey Plum was focused on taking shots, Clark was building an empire. Then came the moment that sent the internet into chaos. When Plum posted from a Nike event, despite being tied to Under Armour, Clark dropped a perfectly timed, razor-sharp response. "I appreciate the Nike advertisement." Simple, cold, devastating, and that's the difference. Clark is already earning well into 7 figures from endorsements alone, with brands ready to invest at any moment. The business world sees what some critics still refuse to admit. She's not just the future, she's the present. She's the driving force behind why this sport is finally getting the recognition and financial backing it has deserved for years. Since that moment, Plum has gone completely quiet, likely realizing she stepped into a battle with someone operating on a completely different level. The same player she tried to frame as self-centered ended up proving something bigger. Real impact doesn't need noise. It just shows up and lets results speak. While Plum fights to stay relevant, Clark's influence is so massive that even a single comment becomes headline news. But this isn't just about 2 players. It's something bigger. What we're really seeing is a broader struggle within the WNBA. Some veterans trying to slow down or control Clark's rapid rise. And it's not working. Before Clark arrived, the league was dealing with low viewership, limited media attention, and relatively small financial growth. Games often lacked buzz. Arenas weren't consistently full. Then everything changed. Ratings surged. Jerseys sold out. Ticket prices climbed. Expansion fees skyrocketed. Media deals exploded. Her impact is tied to nearly every major leap the league is experiencing right now. And yet, instead of embracing it, some responses have been mixed with frustration and resistance. But the reality is simple. Clark's success lifts everyone. More attention means more money. More money means better resources. And better resources mean real growth for the entire league. Through it all, Clark has shown she's more than just a star player. She understands timing. She understands power. And most importantly, she understands the long game. She doesn't chase drama. She turns it into momentum. Fans can see it. The numbers prove it. And right now, history is being written.